Is Trump trying to pacify Iran by extending the truce indefinitely, even as IRGC unleashes a terrifying new threat in response? Not Iran's generals, but the IRGC vows to let the people decide the exact revenge if America dares launch any attack. IRGC Aerospace Commander promises boldly, "We'll strike precisely where you say, without mercy or hesitation." Iran warns Trump sternly against even one misstep as the US hastily extends the fragile ceasefire amid rising tensions. Trump extends the ceasefire indefinitely and urges Iran to submit a formal peace proposal to end the crippling blockade. Despite the US extending the ceasefire, Iran's military has issued a fresh threat, signaling that it does not fully trust President Trump's declared commitment to peace. A senior Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps commander warned that any new aggression by the United States would trigger a powerful and carefully calibrated military response from Tehran. Saeed Majid Mousavi emphasized that if Iran is attacked again, its forces would be ready to target wherever people want, framing retaliation as a matter of popular will. The IRGC's aerospace commander delivered this message during a public address on April 21st, as reported by Iran's state-linked Press TV, speaking directly to the Iranian public. Meanwhile, President Trump announced on April 21st that he had extended the ceasefire before it was scheduled to expire the following day. Iran did not immediately respond to the US move, largely because the continuation of the US naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Brigadier General Saeed Majid Mousavi said, and I quote, "Your children stood by the missile launchers for 40 nights and days, exposing the arrogance of the global powers. And during the period of military silence, they remained vigilant, hands on the trigger, ready to defend this ancient land and its millennia-old civilization. Today, we have come to you to declare our pledge, if after the ceasefire the enemy oversteps and commits any aggression against this soil, this time our target will be wherever you direct us. Let the southern neighbors know, if their land and resources are used by America to attack the Iranian nation, they must bid farewell to oil production in the West Asia region." Unquote. Additionally, Iran's IRGC has reiterated that it would respond immediately with force if the United States launches any new military attacks. Ibrahim Zolfagari said, and I quote, "Our capable and powerful forces have been in a state of 100% readiness and with their fingers on the trigger for a long time, so that in the event of any aggression or action against Islamic Iran, they will immediately launch a powerful attack on predetermined targets and teach the aggressive America and the child-killing Israeli regime another lesson, more severe than before." Unquote. US President Donald Trump announced on April 21st that the current ceasefire with Iran would be extended, altering the timeline for the temporary pause in hostilities. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump said that attacks will be held off until Iran puts forward a formal proposal, tying the extension to the prospect of a new diplomatic offer. The truce, which had been set to expire on April 22nd, was extended at the request of Pakistani mediators, as Trump stated, reflecting their continued role as a back-channel broker. Hours earlier, Trump had publicly expressed that he was not in favor of prolonging the ceasefire, according to Al Jazeera coverage of his on-the-record remarks, underscoring the last-minute nature of the reversal. On X, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also expressed gratitude to Trump for extending the ceasefire, welcoming the decision as a chance to preserve the diplomatic window. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and, in all other respects, remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted, and discussions are concluded, one way or the other." Meanwhile, Iran continues to insist that removing the US blockade is a necessary precondition for any new round of negotiations. Iran's Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, has called the blockade an act of war, and has even likened it to a form of maritime piracy, underlining the gravity with which Tehran views the measure. Araghchi has explicitly linked the resumption of negotiations to an end to hostilities against Iran's commercial shipping, demanding that Washington first lift the restrictions before talks. Meanwhile, President Trump has suggested that Iran wants the Strait of Hormuz kept open primarily to avoid major economic losses, portraying Tehran's interest in the waterway as driven by financial concerns. Trump has argued that lifting the blockade without a prior deal would weaken the United States' leverage in negotiations, insisting that Washington must maintain pressure. Iran has reportedly listed the targets it would hit if US and Israeli strikes on its territory restart, signaling that Tehran is again pointing to the region's critical energy arteries as potential pressure points. Iran's Tasnim News released what it described as an IRGC-linked target list on April 21st, as fresh warnings surfaced over how Tehran could respond if the war restarts. The IRGC would reportedly target the Yanbu pipeline system in Saudi Arabia, which is widely seen as a major alternative route for oil exports that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's military would also reportedly target the UAE's Fujairah oil facilities and the Bab al-Mandeb Strait, both of which are central to efforts to reroute energy flows away from Hormuz. If Iran were to hit those three pressure points, the impact on global crude oil supply could be severe because Yanbu, Fujairah, and Bab al-Mandeb all serve as key alternatives or choke points for international energy shipments. Iran also said it is preparing a decisive and immediate response to any renewed enemy threat, underscoring that its military posture remains on high alert despite the diplomatic track. Major General Abdullahi issued that warning as suspense continued to build over the next round of talks in Pakistan, and over whether Tehran would fully commit to attending. Major General Ali Abdullahi said, and I quote, "Today, the heroic nation of Iran is proud of the authority, preparedness, and all-round strategic capabilities of the IRGC and other forces of the defenders of the homeland, which have driven the Zionist enemy and terrorist America to desperation and exhaustion with deadly and destructive missile and drone strikes and forced them to call for a desperate ceasefire. The people of Iran have not abandoned their support for the armed forces with their enthusiastic and widespread presence in the squares and streets. The brave armed forces of Iran, together with the noble and surprising government and nation of Iran, are united in full compliance with the measures of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, preparing decisive and immediate responses to the threats and actions of the enemy. The armed forces, with a superior hand, did not allow the false and delusional President of America to abuse and make false narratives about the situation in the field and the conditions of silence in the military battle, especially in the management and control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they will respond appropriately to any violation of the covenant."
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.